finally here. It's been a long journey to get to this point. So our guys are excited. Coaches are excited for the challenge ahead of us. So we're just fine tuning ourselves up, getting ready to go and go up to Charlottesville and play Virginia.
Coach, any injury updates on
Those two guys are the only two significant injuries that we've had. So unfortunate for both of those young men. They've had great fall camps and off seasons. The hardest part about all that is, we've been pretty. We had a very physical camp, and you're always going to lose some guys. We came out pretty healthy, but the ones we lost, they were significant.
when you talk about physical camp? Is this the most physical camp that you've had since you've been here?
I think so. I think when you get a chance to talk to our players here in a little bit, that'd be a great question to ask, but I'm sure they're.
Obviously, you guys played them last year, but two very different teams now.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are very different, right? Obviously, their coaching staff's back, so as we prepare for them, we look at the schemes, we look at the things that they've done. It was a game interesting. We had two big crucial turnovers that turned into 14 points. We fumbled the opening kickoff, and then we threw a pick in our own red zone, our own area of the field, that led to 14 points. Despite all of that, at one point in the second quarter, you look up and it's 17-10. So I think at the end they wore us down. We had some injuries going into the game. We sustained some injuries during the course of the game, especially on the defensive line, and they took advantage of that as the game went on. And we had our inability. We had two fourth down stops in the red zone. Instead of taking points, we went for it and didn't get those. Um, we just kind of beat ourselves when you go back and really look at the game. But they are two different teams. It's hard to look and see who they are because I don't really know who they are in terms of who they're going to have as guys that played, because they've got a lot of transfers too.
We saw the depth chart. Not we don't know who the starting quarterback's going to be yet. Is that something we won't find out until they take the field on Saturday?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, MJ is in front right now, and will probably get the first snaps. But I mean, you may see all three guys through the course of the game. Um, I could have sent you New Mexico State's depth chart. Do you guys see that one?
Yep.
That was pretty good. That was a good one.
That was.
I didn't know Forrest Gump had any more eligibility left. I'd have tried to get him in here in the portal.
I do like their uniforms though.
Yeah.
They got those. They brought the old '70s uniforms back.
Did they?
Yeah, those are cool.
I didn't get a chance to see that, but they had quite an interesting lineup.
Coach, you touched on this a moment ago. Tony Elliott said in his press conference yesterday the one maybe negative trying to get ready for you guys is you have two different coordinators.
Yeah.
Personnel changes for both teams, but you feel like maybe you have a little bit of an advantage because they're pretty much the same staff.
Yeah, I think so, but I'm sure they're tweaking things too, right? That's the game, right? You're always evolving. You're finding ways to better yourselves, enhance your offense, your defense. So there's going to be things. They have different people, right? Chandler Morris at quarterback might be different than the kid they had last year, so they're going to do different things with them. It's hard to tell, and you have to be ready for that. So it's hard. It's hard to prepare for. It's always hard to prepare for the first game because you never really know. You don't even know what your own team's going to be. You watch them practice, and it's all good until they're out there on their own in front of 50 or 60,000, and then they got to do it. And you see who can handle it and who can't.
You know Chandler Morris pretty well. What are you expecting to see from him?
I mean, he's a really tremendous football player, coach's kid, and he's a winner everywhere he's been. He just finds ways to win. He's gutsy. He's a really good quarterback. He can throw it. He can run it. We got to contain him. That part we know. How do we have to? I don't know because we're not really sure all the things they might do with him, but he definitely is going to be a catalyst for him.
Because we talked about Brown Reeves last week, but with Barango's situation now, does that vault him into a bigger role in terms of not just depth but also playing time?
Potentially, yeah. He's been getting reps.
Can you just talk about what type of quarterback MJ Morris is? I know we talked a lot during camp just about how each of the quarterbacks had their own style, but just about him.
Yeah, he's really gotten better. Like one of the things that I've noticed in the last 2.5 weeks is the improvement that he's made, and I think it comes with running the offense, getting to know our receivers, right? But he's a tough young man. I've watched him, recruited him out of high school, and that was one of the most surprising things about him. He doesn't come across that way in his mannerisms per se, but when he's out there playing, he is a very tough cookie, and that impressed me a lot when I recruited him. And he didn't really get rattled. We had to play him at NC State as a true freshman to go in there and play games, and I mean, we scored 21 points in the fourth quarter against Virginia.
Since MJ's back there, I know it's by committee at
Yeah,
this point, but who would you probably throw out
I
there?
really, I really think that the running back room, the receiver room, some of the tight ends, with where we're at, you're going to see a lot of guys playing. I don't. Whoever runs out there first doesn't always equate that. You know, those guys are much better than the other guys. We're pretty deep at those spots, and so we're going to probably play a lot of guys. I mean, that's the thought going in. Unless you get somebody hot, sometimes you just have a guy that's hot and that's feeling it, and then you got to feed him for a little bit. But at those three positions, I think we have good depth, and we have guys that have earned the right to get on the field and see what they can do.
Are you settled on your place kicking? I'm assuming Emil's going to punt, but are you settled on your place kicking?
We're still working on that a little bit. Both guys have been very good, and it's a very tough decision. Um, Philip obviously has a stronger leg, and will handle the kickoff duties. But as far as the extra point duties and field goals, we're still kind of going. We did some today even to see how that's going to work out.
I know you guys are thinking about game 1 this year, but yesterday Chance Miller announcing you guys will start next year against West Virginia. Just excitement around that. I know my
Really, it is what it is. I mean, we'll worry about that next year, to be honest.
Coach, earlier this week you announced your team captains.
Yes.
What does that group mean to this program, and how big of an honor is that?
Yeah, like I've talked to those guys. Anytime your peers can look at you and vote you to represent them, to be guys that will walk out of the tunnel first, the guys that will walk across the field and look the opponent in the eye. And the four that we picked, the two offensive captains in Zach Elam and Nick Del Grande, and the two defensive captains in Shane Bruce and Dre Pinkney, just remarkable young men, tremendous football players, guys that have bled for Coastal Carolina, have been here for a while. So it was happy to see it is open, the players to vote for it, and that's who they chose. And so it's a great honor for them. It's one those guys will never forget and can never be taken away from them. And it's part on the field, but also off the field too, and how they handle themselves and the kind of people that they are.
Notice you moved Thomas Johnson over to guard with Elam being back. Just his transition there, and I'm assuming that you guys teach all your offensive line to basically be able to play every position. But how's that been for him to move from center to guard?
He's done some of that before, like early 2 years ago when Zach was playing some. It's those inside three, those two guards in the center, they're pretty interchangeable for the most part. They have to communicate with each other all the time. They're always talking to each other, and they kind of get it. And then your guards and tackles usually can interchange some because they're communicating, right? So, the thought process was you have veteran players in Thomas and Heston and Anthony Walton and Zach Elam and Nick Del Grande and Joe Hansen. Get them on the field, right? Start the game off. Let those guys go out. They've played many football games before on the road against the ACC opponent, and let them go out there and do it. We've got good young offensive linemen, and you'll see them in the game as well. They've earned the right to go out there and play.
Coach, I just want to go back to Emmett Brown. I know he took a very devastating injury at the beginning of the season. How did that shake up the QB room going into week 1 right now?
Well, I mean, it happened so long ago in terms of where we were at. The competition was, we had a competition going on, and he was part of that competition. When he got hurt, obviously he wasn't. And so it became then the other three players at the end of the day. But there was still enough time to be able to figure out who that guy was going to be for us.